What up, internets? Always wanted to say that. My name is Niels R.Y., a.k.a. the Black Snake. Or Black Mamba. That's what I should be. Black Mamba. Niels R.Y., a.k.a. Black Mamba. And welcome to our new episode of Pop Culture Parenting, the retrospective podcast where we talk about sources of media that inspired us when we were little boys. We look back on it, and then we talk about how we will introduce it to our kids. Excited to talk with you all today. You may notice that my partner in crime, Mr. Mark Jones, aka Clyde Jones, is not with me now. And that is fine. He is still on the podcast. This is his show. He is definitely Jordan. I am Pippin to his Jordan. But I am excited to invite and have our guest co-host with us today. His name is Shannon. Shannon, you want to introduce yourself?
What's up, internet? Hey, yo, that does feel good.
Doesn't it feel empowering?
Yeah. Oh, but what's up, everybody? Yeah, my name is Shannon Smith. So, doing on the podcast. I don't really have a nickname. I guess Luke's dad. Because
Luke's dad. There you go. Because that's what everyone calls me.
Yeah, that's what everybody calls me. Or maybe even for the purposes of this podcast, Laughing Snake. Because I feel like there's going to be a lot of laughter going on.
Yes, there absolutely will.
But yeah, excited to be here, talking about Metal Gear Solid a little, and happy to be here.
So, Shannon, I have known you for, I was doing the math earlier today, at least 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, we are right at the cusp of 10 years, so about a decade or so. Mm-hmm. Shannon and I used to work together in this organization where we did good stuff. Mm-hmm. Both still good people, of course, even though we don't work in that organization no more. And Shannon is hilarious, awesome, and also a pop culture addict like myself and Mark. Shannon also is the father, he mentioned this, but he is the father of Luke. And let me give y'all a fun fact about Luke. So besides Ian and Kosi, my goddaughter, and any other child that I am related to by blood, or that someone will feel some type of way if they hear me say this, Luke is the most adorable kid on the planet. This kid can straight up be a model right now. He is like a 1-year-old version of Derek Jeter, but better looking. Like, by far, he is one of the best looking kids ever. So, Shannon, knowing that you have a ridiculously adorable child, does your mind go with, don't let it get to your head, son? Or is it, let's go get this money? Or is it, I don't even think about that because I'm worried about all the other stuff?
So yeah, adorable kid. I'm not even being biased. Adorable. So, but
these are facts, y'all.
Yeah, these are facts. You can look them up.
This kid is adorable. Look him up. This kid is adorable. He is by far like Gerber baby 3.0.
Yeah. And so we were like, he was bald for like the longest, and like baby bald, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like it's like one thing, like, okay, you're bald and that's cool.
Yes.
Looks good on you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Like, but for Luke as a baby, he had hair and then it just like fell out, and so we were like, for him being bald, we were like, okay, that's gonna keep you humble. Because everything else, everybody's like, oh, you're cute, you can do the developmental things, every sound you make we love. So we're like, we need something to keep you humble. So like his hair wasn't growing in. And so now, he's got a little hair and a little curl coming in. So
he's starting to feel himself.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Does he play with it? Does he play with the little curl?
Not yet, but he will. He will discover it because he's taken a comb before and legit just like started combing his hair. We're like, yo.
This kid.
Yeah, you want me to tell him nothing. But yeah, I mean, for me, I have been thinking, I'm like, yo, I would love to see if he could do like some Gerber baby type stuff. Like I think we try to do, maybe we did it. I think we try to do like that, sort of just take a picture and put like hashtag Gerber or something, see if they catch it. Nothing's really dropped so far. I'm not that great of an entrepreneur, so I just need to work on that, because I think he would, he'd be about it because he loves people too. So yeah.
If either you or your wife were Nigerian, this kid would have already been on like the posters of everything. This is a little fun fact: Nigerians are hustlers. They're all born with entrepreneurship. I am not Nigerian. Shout out to Nikki. But y'all are some hustlers. I digress. So Shannon, we're excited to have you be a part of Pop Culture Parenting. Shannon listens to the show. And we appreciate you listening to the show. He's given us great feedback in the past. And this week, Shannon already mentioned it, we are going to be reviewing Metal Gear Solid. Or Metal Gear, the Metal Gear franchise, but specifically the run of the games that are Metal Gear Solid. So those are all the other ones after Metal Gear that are on PlayStations. And I'll go over the history, but before we do that, we're going to talk about a few things. So the first thing we're going to talk about is our episode that we did last time. Shannon hasn't listened to the episode yet because the way our recording schedule works, Shannon wouldn't have been able to hear it. But our previous episode was on Space Jam. So Shannon, just giving you an opportunity. Is there anything you want to comment about Space Jam, whether it be the movie, the soundtrack, or the shoes?
All right.
And I did not prep Shannon for this, so whatever he's saying is straight from the dome.
Yeah. So first I'll start with the soundtrack. One of the best movie soundtracks to ever exist. We had this conversation like a little while ago. So big news. So my wife has never seen the movie Space Jam, but she had been listening to the soundtrack from day one. Until this day, has still never seen the movie, but would be like, the soundtrack is the best, or one of the best soundtracks ever. So, and thinking about it, it's like, since the 90s, what movies have really existed where you're like, okay, this is a bomb soundtrack? Like, people are really like, oh, I want to go out and get this soundtrack specifically. For me, I think last movie was probably like Black Panther. But
yeah. That's actually what we said on the podcast.
Okay.
And we asked that exact same question. And so I don't think I said this on the podcast, but I would say, and people may judge me, of course, Space Jam, by far, one of the best. Black Panther as well. Mark really likes Into the Spider-Verse. My thing... there is only one other soundtrack. I can't believe I'm going to admit this on the internet. There was only one other soundtrack that I bought, and it was the Wild Wild West soundtrack.
Yeah, wow.
Did you buy it too?
No, I didn't.
Did you listen to it at least?
But I remember. Okay. Yeah, I remember some.
Wasn't it good?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like, just,
I needed Shannon's validation, y'all. I was going to be nervous. I was like, I don't know how the rest of this podcast is going to go.
Yeah. Nah, for me, I think what comes to mind is Life. The movie Life. The soundtrack there. Just like...
Casey and JoJo.
Yes. Yep. Casey and JoJo. And then even just the... oh my god, what was it? City High? What would you do if your son...
Yeah, that's City High.
Yeah. So I was like...
Was it a City? Yeah, it was City High. Yeah.
Just like that song... I mean, that wasn't like an amazing song, but just like for the... I don't know what... The nostalgia of that song within itself. And then also looking back and I'm like, what were they talking about?
Hold on, did Maxwell have a song on that soundtrack too?
Yes, yeah.
That might have been fire.
Yeah. So like I think of like the Life soundtrack. But yeah, so going back to Space Jam though, but yeah, amazing soundtrack. Yeah, the movie itself, like so many just like even some of the one-liners, I don't even know if they meant it to be that, but because some of the other NBA players were just such bad actors, like something like like something me and my cousins would like always do, like if we're playing ball or doing something, somebody just like makes a layup or does something, it's like, give me my powers back. Like, was that Larry Johnson who said that? And
yes.
Just give me my powers.
Yes. Okay, so one thing, I'll ask you one quick Space Jam thing, and then we will continue on with all of our other fun things. So one thing I just spazzed on during the podcast was the scouting report. I was like, these Monstars came down. I completely understand you getting Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley is a Hall of Fame basketball player. Patrick Ewing, one of the best centers of all time. And I'll even throw in Grandmama. Cool, like he was very good. But the other two, Muggsy Bogues, and you're from North Carolina.
Yeah.
So I understand there's some.
And
like,
I went to Wake Forest.
And you went to Wake Forest. So like there's a connection with Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah.
And Sean Bradley, I get it. Muggsy Bogues was a decent NBA player. Sean Bradley was not. Why were those two on the team? Why of all the powers they could have stole, why did they steal those two players' powers when there was a Gary Payton, when there was a John Stockton,
Tim Hardaway? Wasn't it Tim Hardaway?
T-Mac.
Yeah, his crossover alone.
His crossover alone. Like Jordan wouldn't stand a chance, and it didn't get Scotty either. So my criticism was the Scotty report.
Yeah. No. I agree. During that time, because that was, what was it? Was that 96?
Yeah,
96.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you look at it then. Yeah, I agree with that. Like point guards. Obviously, I'm partial to Muggsy Bogues, and I mean, I just said it because both went to Wake, North Carolina. Like, okay, cool, I got that connection, and just like, I mean, to be, what was he, like 5'8"? No, shorter than that. Right?
Oh no, Muggsy was short.
Yeah,
Muggsy may have. I don't think he broke 5'5".
Yeah, so to be like somebody that short, and you're hanging, like you're putting up points. You are not just an okay NBA player to be that short, but you are a great NBA player. Period. Cool.
I am currently looking to see how tall Muggsy Bogues is. Muggsy Bogues was 5'3".
5'3". Okay.
And y'all picked him to steal the powers from.
So I get that. And then Sean Bradley, yeah. On some real, the only thing, as I remember, like NBA back in the 90s, I only remember Sean Bradley like getting dunked on. I feel like multiple people. So it's like I don't remember one Sean Bradley highlight. Like if anybody remember when Sean Bradley did that sky hook or dunked on so and so, or he got that high layup. Like I don't.
Sean Bradley's highlights all consisted of other people dunking on him.
Yeah.
That is so real. I remember when Kobe dunked on Sean Bradley.
Yeah.
Sheesh. That is amazing.
Yeah. So, and I mean, what was the thing? Was he maybe about I mean, he was, of course, like extremely tall, but that's like it.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. And maybe, I don't think the Monstars were doing this on purpose, but maybe that's what helped even out the playing field. Because that's like, that's like,
you think they self-sabotage themselves, maybe?
I mean, maybe they were like, okay, we want to win the game, but we don't want to win the game by 112 points. Like, maybe. I don't know.
Just by 60.
Yeah, just by 60.
Well, okay. Thank you for entertaining me. Today we are going to review Metal Gear Solid. And what's great is Shannon and I, we're sitting in the rec room, the illustrious rec room, the rec room, excuse me, that's how I'm supposed to say it. And so I gave Shannon a tour. But one thing that I'm doing, we're setting the mood. We're straight up setting the mood. I got like YouTube on, and we are watching Metal Gear Solid 2. So we're fully embedded in the Metal Gear Solid world. Quick history about Metal Gear Solid. So again, there was 2 previous video games before Metal Gear Solid premiered. We're not really going to talk about those 2 that much. We're actually going to talk about the series after it premiered on PlayStation. So in 1998, Metal Gear Solid premiered on the PlayStation. A little bit about this game, and a name that you will hear if you talk about Metal Gear Solid. It is the developer, the creator, the screenwriter. The brother did everything for Metal Gear Solid, including like working on the technology, the modules that the system is run on. His name is Hideo Kojima. You will hear this brother's name all the time. You're impressed by saying his name?
And that's good, because I was like, I've heard it pronounced like 5 different ways, and I'm like, Hideo Kojima? What you say?
It might be Kojima.
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. Like everybody says it a different way, so I'm like, we'll roll with that. So what is it?
We're gonna say Kojima because that just sounds better.
Kojima, all types of stuff.
Well, clearly neither of us know how to say the brother's name. So yeah, internet. If you have problems, feel free to reach out to us and tell us how to actually pronounce the brother's name. But Kojima, the founder, the script writer, the everything, the father of Metal Gear, the entire series, franchise, everything. He created Metal Gear Solid, and a little bit about that game in particular. That game sold over 6 million copies, which means it went 6 times platinum if it was an album. Like one of by far the highest sold games in PlayStation history. And I think one fun fact about that game in particular was that it's also had 12 million demos distributed. Now, Shannon, I never owned Metal Gear Solid. I definitely had a demo, and I played that demo to death. And also when I actually didn't own a PlayStation. So I took the demo and played it on other people's PlayStations. That's how real it was. By far, Metal Gear Solid is considered one of the greatest video games of all time. It is considered the greatest PlayStation game of all time. And if it's not like considered one, it's considered like number 3. So it's in the top 3 of almost any list when you talk about PlayStation game.
And peep this too.
Yeah.
It was rated mature. And so that many copies. So, because, I feel like if something's rated everyone or if it's rated teen, okay, that widen and it sold that many copies. So that's like, because how sometimes movies are hesitant to be like, I don't know if we want to go rated R, not because of we're worried about content, but because we're like, more people will see it if we're rated like PG-13. And they still made $6 million off of being rated mature, where you're supposed to be 17 plus to get it.
Yeah, we clearly weren't 17 though.
Oh no, not at all, not at all.
Just realized that.
Yeah. So also, I think there were just many ways to just go around that rule because
clearly, there must have. I'm pretty sure I was like, oh, this game ain't mature. I ain't playing this at like 13 years old. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So that's real though. I actually think that this is probably one of the first games that was like rated mature and sold like that.
Yeah.
Like if you think about like games that were rated like that, you probably wouldn't really touch. And we're not talking about Mortal Kombat, y'all. Like Mortal Kombat was only mature because of the blood and the fatalities, and like that's what we like were drawn to. I'm talking about like an adult story. Like really, Metal Gear Solid. I'm trying to think. I can't remember what was like that before then. Like Splinter Cell, Resident Evil, maybe. And that all came around the same time.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's considered one of the greatest games of all time. And what's crazy about that is, if you look at Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, it is considered one of the greatest games of all time. If you look at Metal Gear Solid 3, it is also considered one of the greatest video games of all time. Granted, not one of the greatest PlayStation games, but one of the greatest PS2 games of all time. Those 3 games have either been scored a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 out of almost every major video game rater. These games are ridiculously successful. Like, I mean, they at least sell 3 million every time. And the last 2, Metal Gear Solid 4 and 5, got perfect scores. Like this has been one of the most successful video game franchises of all time. And so we're excited to talk to y'all about it. Quick, like, just notes on the impact that Metal Gear Solid has. You can't talk about the success of the PlayStation system without talking about Metal Gear Solid. 2 more things. One, and Shannon, feel free to react. What's funny is all these games are centered around something called a Metal Gear, which is straight up just a Gundam. A Gundam that can shoot nukes. That is essentially, which sounds scary actually if you say it out loud.
Yeah. And I feel like every single time, yes, it has been the Metal Gear. It has been like, that's what they're fighting to stop, to make sure it doesn't get in the wrong hands. And every time you end up having to fight it like yourself. And I feel like every time it's been taken down by a person.
Just one person.
Yeah, like one person. It's like
sometimes they don't even have 2 eyes. Just one person.
Yes. Yeah, like one person, one eye, like and like so,
and like a gun.
Yeah.
And a cell phone. Like not a lot of stuff.
So there are some serious like design flaws that are going on in here. But
for such a powerful machine, there should not be that many design flaws.
Yeah.
You have a very good point. I think in one part, and we're watching it, the Metal Gear got taken down by pictures and the internet. Like social media shut down this Metal Gear.
So it's basically like it like got canceled before cancel culture. Before cancel culture was really a thing. Like social media took it down. It was cancel culture.
That's a damn shame.
They found Metal Gear. Well, they found Metal Gear's old tweets and then just pretty much canceled. They got taken down.
So all these games are centered around this type of machine, like a Gundam that can shoot nukes, which again, we don't want that out there. So I'm glad that someone is shutting it down. The character, well, okay, I'll tell you about the characters later. The one other thing I'll say is that the most recent game that has came out is called Metal Gear Survive, and long story short, it's trash. From what we've heard, it is trash. It is. Kojima wasn't involved at all. He doesn't even work at the company anymore, so he had no involvement with Metal Gear Survive.
He got like pushed out, right? Wasn't I thought
something bad happened.
Yeah,
I knew
yeah.
there was like drama with it.
Yeah.
He that would have been dumb if they pushed him out. This man, come on now. So we talked a little bit about the history, and before we share our takes on Metal Gear Solid, Mark is not here, but Mark just so happened to record and share what he believes Metal Gear Solid is about. So we're going to take some time and listen to Mark's thoughts now.
Good morning, Internet. How y'all doing? Where you are, where you be, who you is, what you see. I am Mark F. Jones, and I'm so sorry I couldn't be there for this wonderful episode. But you know what? You're in good hands. Old Papa Nels and Papa Shannon are going to take real good care of you. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. But I'm going to give you a little bit of insight on what I know about Metal Gear Solid, which isn't much. So basically what I know about Metal Gear Solid is it's a video game franchise, and I had a friend in 8th grade who was really into it, and he would try to explain it to me, and for the most part I think I got the story. You were like a covert operative named Snake, and you were fighting the government or something, and they were making Metal Gears, and I guess Metal Gears were like these dangerous like giant robot kind of dinosaur looking things, and you know, we don't want that. That's not good. So, you know, you got to handle your business. And a lot of what I know about Metal Gear is from pop culture in general. I know I used to read the video game Electronic Gaming Monthly, and you know, I remember they would talk about Metal Gear a lot in that. I remember Metal Gear Solid 2 was a big hit. It was very popular. I remember hearing the I guess Snake when he hears something or is alarmed by something, the little whoop, that little whatever that little sound is. And you know, I see in pop culture a lot in like, you know, not movies, but mostly like little internet memes and things like that. The little exclamation mark that pops up. I remember hearing about how the aspect of this game was really interesting, because I think it was one of the first games where you weren't supposed to just go around and start shooting people and blowing things up. You were actually kind of supposed to be sneaky, and if you killed somebody, you're supposed to hide the body. I remember hearing about that. And then I remember when Metal Gear Solid 3 came out, I remember hearing it was a really big deal. People were really hyped about it. And I want to say I got Nels Metal Gear Solid 3 as a gift, but he'll probably deny it. But I'm pretty sure I bought him that as a gift because I knew he was really into it. But yeah, other than that, Metal Gear is one of those franchises that I hear a lot about. I kind of like look at the new game when it comes out because it always seems pretty interesting. But I just never got invested into this franchise. And honestly, I watched a video one time that tried to explain what are they called? Not the Sons of Liberty. They're like the Constitutionals, or they're like the people that are running everything. And it got me lost. It seems like the Metal Gear storyline is just as confusing as the Kingdom Hearts storyline. And if you're not invested from day one, you're gonna be lost. But that's not a knock on it, it's just I never got into it. But it's really set its footprint in pop culture. It's everywhere, when it comes to like video game memes, cosplays. I think Solid Snake is a playable character in Smash Brothers. So, I mean, yeah, it looks like you guys won. So they keep making games and side games, and I don't know if there's talk about there being a movie, but, probably get a movie or TV show or something, or Amazon, Disney's gonna buy it, But, yay, I will be back next time. Again, I'm so sorry for not being there, but, hey, Shannon and Nels are gonna take real good care of you, and your old Uncle Mark is gonna be back next time to give you all that pop culture goodness. So keep it classy, join the cult, and peace.
Mark, just letting you know don't know what the hell you're talking about. Whatever you just said has nothing to do with Metal Gear. So we're actually going to leave it to the experts to talk about Metal Gear Solid. Shannon, share your history of Metal Gear. What have you seen? Which ones did you play? Which ones did you own? And what impact did it have on you?
So I had a PlayStation. Played Metal Gear Solid. Game changer. Like I had never played a game like that. Like, cause like before that, I mean, it was like, your Maddens, your NBA Lives. You had some games that were like, okay, sort of like adventure type stuff, and everything from like actual people to like your Crash Bandicoot. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
Spyro.
Yeah. Spyro.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was like, I was like played a bunch of those. And then when I played this, like I think at first I hated it because that was something I had never done before. Like usually just like, okay, let me run up in here, let me fight everybody, whatever. And obviously, I tried that, and the next thing you know, Snake. Killed plenty of times, and then
How many times I got? How many times did you go to sleep in your head? You just hear Snake, Snake, Snake. Like I have heard that so many times. Mm-hmm. It is embedded in my head.
Yeah, and I mean that, and then the what is the sound whenever they see you, like that? Yeah. Like those two embedded in my brain.
We're gonna put that sound right here.
But yeah, so I played it, and actually, so like my best friend growing up, he had the game, and he didn't have patience for it. He was like, "Yo, you can play it," so he let me borrow it. And I was like, "Okay," so played it some, and I was like, "Yeah, I see what you're talking about. This sucks." And then like I started getting into it, I was like, "No, this is amazing." And so I remember like, so we would do this where he lived up the street from me, so I called him over to the house, and I was like, "Yo, I think I'm about to beat it right now." He came over to the house. So I was on that last part, Metal Gear, where what is it? When you actually beat it, you're being, you remember like the end. You're like driving through this tunnel before it blows up, and like Liquid Snake is shooting at you.
Yeah.
So,
I definitely didn't get past that.
Yeah,
I had to watch somebody. I was your friend. Yeah, I was sitting there like, "Oh, you doing it? That's what's up." But I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yo, but that's exactly how it was. Like I did that, and so I like drove through the thing, did the shooting, this and that. So boom, beat it.
Hold on. Tell me, was your friend? Because I'm trying to envision just that scene, and I remember how I was. Was he like punching you like you can do it? Like you got it?
Yes, that. And then the funny thing too, like as soon as I made basically like the last like actual gameplay movement, he grabbed the controller and he was like, "Yo, I beat Metal Gear. He grabbed the controller just to have that feeling that
horrible.
Exactly.
He didn't even go with the we approach. He was just like, "No, me." Horrible. Trash.
And so, but like I said, like game changer, and I say that because, like outside of like this hadn't happened before. I was even then like you compare it to some of those other games like well, I think this is probably getting into PS2 some, but even PS1 to PS2. Like I remember I had played like Siphon Filter, Splinter Cell, and neither one of those were like that. Like I feel like Splinter Cell to me, like this isn't dissing them, but I feel like it was more like you really, really want to try to make sure nobody sees you. Like, whereas like Metal Gear was like, yes, go through it, make sure nobody sees you. If you do get seen, you know, like Snake can he can handle himself. Like you don't want to put him in a situation where he's gonna fight a whole army, but he can handle himself.
Not even handle himself. Like it's once you like play the games, you realize this brother like essentially not created, but was like taught their own martial arts, like a straight up close quartered self. Martial art technique.
CQC.
Thank you. Come on, Shannon. We got an expert in the building. Yes.
But So that first Metal Gear, like I said, like all that stuff. And so just even little things where I'd never seen a game with so much detail, where something as simple as like you're crawling through an air conditioner vent, and it's sort of like, oh yeah, so like field mice usually try to get out of a building and crawl outside. So if you just sort of follow the mice you see, and that's like a little subtle thing. If you sort of follow those mice, that sort of helps you get to where there's some light or get out of a building. It's like, yo, like something like that detailed.
Who thinks that deep?
Yes, yeah.
About a video game.
Yeah.
So, for real.
Yeah, so that was Metal Gear 1.
So let me quickly talk about my Metal Gear Solid experience, and then we'll go each game. So I never owned Metal Gear Solid. I was a demo jumper. I actually never owned a PlayStation, so I was the friend that would show up to your house with a game and play your game while you would watch me. And I was trash at Metal Gear Solid, like utterly trash. And I loved it so much. Like, this game was just so much fun. It was, and before that, I had only played like Mario, Mortal Kombat, or versus games like NBA Jam. Like, I wasn't really a connoisseur of like action adventure games like Metal Gear Solid. And it wasn't until I borrowed my cousin's PlayStation and was able to like truly play like a Metal Gear Solid game that I was like, this game is amazing. Like, this is the greatest game of all time. Like, I liked it, but I didn't love it. And then I finally beat Revolver Ocelot. And that's when I was like, oh, I'm the man. You can't tell me nothing. Mind you, I didn't get past him. I didn't get past anything after that. Like, Psycho, like, forget him. Yeah. I could not beat him.
He was cheating anyway.
He was cheating, a punk. And like, so I had to like sit down and watch like people beat Gray Fox and people beat Psycho Mantis,
Sniper Wolf.
All the Sniper. I didn't even know. Like, I had to watch it. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And Liquid, and like learning the story of Liquid Snake. So like, that was my experience with Metal Gear Solid. But yes, game changing moments.
Yeah. Game changing moment with Metal Gear. All right, so a couple things. One little hints, like, once again, that they put in the game. So I mentioned like something as simple as like following field mice, like help you get out of an event. So there was a portion on there where I can't remember who you were talking to, but it was somebody on there. And so the dude, I think it's this guy who's dying, he's talking to you and he's like, you should call, was it Meryl? Or I think it was like Meryl, but one of the characters, he was like, you should call her, like her number's on the case.
Yeah.
And so
on the back of the case.
Yeah, her number's on the back of the case. And so he hands you a CD like in the game. And so you're thinking, let me try to find the camera so I can look all on this and that. And so, like, this game, like, broke the fourth wall because he was saying, no, literally, the case that the video game that you bought, her number is on the back. And so you flip it over to the back, and, you know, they got little random moments in the game on the back, and you're like, oh, he's talking to her, this is her Kodak number or whatever. You call that, and then it progresses the game, she said something. I was like, yo, so that was like game changing.
Like, who thinks that deep?
Yeah,
about it. It's amazing.
Yeah. What I think what is another one? Because I know like the biggest one. I'm gonna get to that one. Randomly, just something simple like playing dead. Like you could do that. Once again, I remember there was a portion in the game where I think Snake had they put him in a jail cell. I don't want to say Solid Snake because I know we'll get into the characters later.
We'll get into it later, but yes.
Lots of snakes.
Yeah, all the snakes.
Yeah. So like Solid Snake, they put him in a jail cell, and there's like this soldier that's sort of like patrolling them and everything. So of course, if you try to do something, the soldier will shoot you, and you basically have these different ways of like sort of tricking the soldier. Like I think there's a pill you can take that makes him think that you're dead. He comes in, then you attack him and boom, you can get
That's
out.
how I got out.
Yeah. There's another one where I think once again Snake is like stripped, like naked there. He has no weapons, anything. And then there's like he has a bottle of ketchup. I think you can like click on the ketchup and so he'll lay there and all this red comes on the bottom.
Oh, I don't think I knew about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then, you know, the soldier, when he patrols, you can come by. He'll come by or whatever. He'll be like, dag, like, dude is stabbed, he's dead. So he opens this cell and then boom, you can attack him and get out. And then there was like another one where I don't remember how you would combine it, but you could basically throw him I think this was him. I'm making sure I'm not getting the games mixed up, but I think in this one too, you could throw him maybe a ration, like one of your rations, and give him power.
Yeah.
But it was actually like bad, like spoiled or something like that. And so
that sounds really familiar. That might be number 2.
There might be 2. Okay.
Or both. It could have been both.
Yeah. But I know if that is this one, I know you could do it in one of them. But if that is this one, it's like, dude, at some point he would like run to the bathroom.
Yes.
Yes. Like he was like, oh, I gotta poop or whatever.
That was definitely 2.
Okay, that was 2. Okay. But yeah. But anyway, so those were like very different, like just multiple ways of like getting past the enemy. That isn't just like, oh yeah, it's just different ways I can shoot them, but it's like thinking of like logical ways of like maybe even like hiding under the bed, like hiding under the bed, playing dead, like all this stuff.
So I think what you reminded me of is, and I don't know if I can call this like world changing moment, but the box.
Yes.
The box. And if you've ever played Metal Gear Solid, me saying the box, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It has been, I've only played 3 of the Metal Gear Solids, but in every one, the box is like a pivotal, a very important character in the franchise. Like Snake's ultimate weapon, the thing that is the most coveted, the most precious, and the most life-changing is the box. You essentially have a box disguise that you just pop out and put out of nowhere, and was in like any other game before Metal Gear Solid, it would be your foolproof way to like hide yourself, right? But like the game was so smart. If you popped the box and it was like in a random hallway, the guards are gonna be like, this random box should not be in the hallway, and they're gonna shoot you. Like you had to really think and be strategic about how you're gonna use the box. And that's one thing I really appreciate about the game, about like how intelligent it was. And it's like the dude really cared that he wanted us to be fully invested in the game and not think of it as a game, even though he would do random stuff like leave a code in the back of the box.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then even off the box, like, so you're hiding, but then also certain places, if you like say got in the back of a truck and then turned into the box, they would just transport you to like this other place.
Yes.
So, and that would be one of those things where like it would save you going through all these buildings and having to fight people all over again to get from point A to point B. And it was just so fast. It would be like 20-second cutscene. All right, now you're here. What would have took me like 30 minutes to get there, and hiding and all of that.
So, any last thoughts on Metal Gear Solid before we go to talk about the other games? I know there was one thing you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very last one. Game changing. Psycho Mantis.
That pump.
Yeah. That was the game. I think for me, one of the biggest game changing things about Metal Gear Solid was, so you're fighting Psycho Mantis. He knows your every move, and like he legit does. You try to shoot him, he dodges every bullet. You try different guns, missiles, this and that, he dodges everything. He stops it before you can do it. You kick, punch, kick. He knows all those. He dodges them. And you can't do anything. You hide C4, try to blow it up when he comes by. He knows it's there. And then you find out, because he's saying stuff like, I can read your every thought. And then the way to defeat him is you unplug the first controller from the first controller slot, and you put it in the second controller slot.
I kid you not, Shannon.
What?
Who thinks of that? And 2, do you know how long? The reason I stopped playing Metal Gear Solid is because of Psycho Mantis. Like, I stopped playing that game. I was like, he's unbeatable. Yeah. There's no way. And like, this is one at a time I didn't know that there was like people you could ask about stuff like this. And then I saw somebody do it, and I was so angry. So angry. How did you find out that that's what you needed to do?
Yeah. So this is 98. So this was, before like YouTube was a regular thing. Yeah, how did I? Because I was
spare movie, Shannon.
No. I wish I was that smart too. Just like, what if I do this? So yeah, I don't know how it would. I think maybe they start maybe giving some hints. Like maybe after you are getting beat so many times, I think they give hints. Like in your Kodak thing, they say something like that. But I think it was between that And then also, I used to look at a lot of the I can't even remember the name of them now, but those like the different like game magazines that would come out. Like usually they would have like cheat codes, and they might have a demo disc with them. And so I feel like I remember looking at one of those, and it was talking about Metal Gear, and it like sort of threw that in there. That it's like, oh, this is like top couple ways to like defeat people, whatever, and that was in there. I was like, huh. So I tried that, and then of course, whoop, you know, rapping him out. Yeah. But and one more random thing about him.
Yes.
So he's all about reading minds and stuff. Like he would read your memory card too. So like if there were certain games that like if you had it on your memory card, he would say things about it while you're fighting him. Like he would say something like, "Oh, I see you love ninja games" or something like that. But it would be like certain ones, and they would really comment on it because, like I said, somehow they would know like what's on your memory card. But it's like, wow,
how?
Yeah,
like this is 98, y'all.
Yeah, 98.
Like how? Like the ingeniousness of like we are going to use every single iota of this system to our benefit for this game,
and they did.
Mind you, we have been talking for a good amount of time. We did not mention clone once. Let's continue. So we'll quickly talk about Metal Gear Solid 2. This was the game. So Shannon, it's really funny you mentioned like getting the game books. When I bought Metal Gear Solid 2, I bought the walkthrough. Like and I did the exact same thing for Metal Gear Solid 3. I was like, I am not playing this game anymore without having the walkthrough. What's crazy about Metal Gear Solid 2, again, considered one of the greatest PlayStation 2 games. Although there's a lot of controversy with Metal Gear Solid 2. And the reason it's crazy is because your main character for every Metal Gear Solid game in existence at that point was Snake, Solid Snake, who essentially is Snake Plissken. Like he's essentially like Kurt Russell from Escape from New York, except with a different voice. And then you play this game in like the first hour, you're playing a snake. And then next thing you know, so you turn into this like K-pop, like straight white hair ninja spy named Raiden. And you are playing him the rest of the game. Like it's not like it's a cute 5-minute thing. Like no, the main character of Metal Gear Solid 2 is Raiden, and you are playing as Raiden. So yeah, that was my experience with the game. I loved it. I truly loved it and played it to death. The ending was a little weird.
Yeah.
So I'll quickly tell you this, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts. So I played football, and I got Metal Gear Solid around the summertime, so I clearly was playing that the entire summer. And all the way until like the start of football practice. And it was like 2-a-days. So we had practice in the morning, you can hang out at home in the middle, and then you have practice in the afternoon.
Wow, you were doing 2-a-days in high school?
We were doing 2-a-days in high school, yeah. We were a powerhouse football team. Okay. So I was during the middle part, I was playing Metal Gear Solid 2, and I was at the end. And it's a long game, y'all. Especially if you have the walkthrough and you know everything, you try everything because it's dope. I was at the end. I was fighting Solidus Snake.
Solidus Snake. Yeah.
I was fighting Solidus Snake. Had the swords. It was beautiful. There was a little backdrop. There was like flames and stuff. Like it was just beautiful. I was like, oh, I'm beating him. And I had to go to practice. I kid you not, I was late to practice because that ending was so long. I was 30 minutes late to practice. I thought I had 5 minutes left of the game, but the game was so long that like the ending was like an extra 30 minutes than it needed to be. But it was dope. So yeah, that's my experience with Metal Gear Solid 2. How about you?
Yeah. So yeah, same feeling. I was like, play the prologue. Is it prologue? No.
Yeah, we'll call it a prologue. Yeah. That's what we'll call it. Yeah. Prequel.
Sure.
We'll call them both.
Yeah.
Interchange it.
Yeah. But yeah, so you play that first part, Solid Snake, like, and just all the things you could do there. I even just remember like how detailed that was because it was giving you the intro into like, okay, this is how this is. Something like you could do something like shoot a bag of flour or powder or whatever.
Yeah.
You could do that by a red laser, and it was like boom, like you can see.
You can see everything. Yeah.
Yeah. You could shoot a pipe, and the steam would come out and hit one of the guys. And it would like deter him from attacking you or whatever.
And this was like one of the first games on PlayStation 2, so you're like, oh, look at all the amazing graphics on the PlayStation 2. Yeah.
Yeah, so my experience was that I was like, yo, this is what's up. And I beat Metal Gear Solid, like the first one. This is PS2, it looks better. Yo, I'm gonna be beast at this. Like, I'm already like, what adventures are me and Solid Snake about to have? And then, you beat that first part and you're like, all right, cool. What me and Solid Snake about to do now?
You win the game. You save the world by social media. Just reminding you.
Yeah.
And like, hold on, I forgot. We didn't even talk about this yet. Solid Snake is now working for a nonprofit. That is the beginning of the game. He's working. Him and his homeboy are working like at a place called like the Philanthropist.
Yeah.
And like as they're describing, I'm like, brother, you work at a nonprofit. Y'all are using donations
to kill people?
To kill people. Like what's really going on here?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So and then you do that second part where like dude like swims through the water, then he comes out, you end up beating some people up, and then I think you take the elevator up, like so you're really like boom about to start the game. Then he takes off his helmet, his like not ski mask, but like scuba mask, all of that. You're like, who's this? This ain't Snake, So like
it's not Snake at all.
Yeah, it's not Snake at all.
There's nothing about him that's like Snake.
Yeah, but then I guess you just sort of get over it. So I'm you're playing.
Shannon, how upset were you?
I mean, I was very upset, but I think initially I was surprised, like, what is this? But then I figured, okay, you're probably gonna play as him a little bit, but then like Snake's really gonna happen, And so then you playing for a while, it's like, okay, still not Snake, and then finally you're like, you see Snake, but even then you're thinking like, yo, this dude, he's not Snake. Oh, he says he's not Snake, but he looks just like him, this and that. Turns out later, dude, what was his name? Something Pliskin?
Something Pliskin.
Yeah.
Which again is hilarious because of Snake Poopsin.
Mm-hmm. And so, and then it turns out that it is Snake. He's just been like pretending, and he's been trying to infiltrate as well. But anyway, yeah. So love the game. The characters in terms of like the ones you had to fight against, that evil team or whatever. So it was a vampire, a dude who loved bombs, a woman who you could not shoot, like every time you shot her, like bullets went around her and stuff.
Oh, the force field lady. Yeah.
Her name was Fortune.
Fortune was
it?
Yeah, Fortune was this game.
Yeah.
She had like her gun was like electric, and it was like an electric force field, right? Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
And I was so glad I never had to fight her like for real, because I was like, yo, I just saw everybody shot you and all the bullets went around you. So I mean, I don't know what you expect me to do.
The whole time the game, you're like, man, I hope I don't got to Like, I hope something happens, because I don't know how I'm going. You're just like playing the whole game like, okay, cool. So I beat this guy, great, but I know she's over there. And she's waiting. Yeah, she's waiting for me
because she got a big gun. Bullets don't affect her, so I'm like, my only next logical thing is, okay, so I go up to her and I press circle a couple of times, because that's what kick punch or punch kick.
Going back to the good old Street Fighter days, I know this combination of buttons.
Yeah, and I was like, help me out. And I just feel like that's just not gonna be it. But what vampire dude, bomb dude, Fortune, and I feel like there was like obviously
Revolver.
Revolver plays a role. I feel like there might be somebody else too. This game played to death as well. I'm trying to think when I think of the ending. No, so what got wild for me was when you're getting closer toward the ending and they start sort of breaking everything down, like how we're infiltrating and we've been controlling the government, and they start doing this sort of deep stuff of like you're playing a game, they start breaking the fourth wall again. Mm-hmm. Like when you get so far, they start saying to you as the player, like, hey, don't you think you've been playing this for a long time? Like, maybe you should do something with your life. And first, don't talk to me like that. Like,
that really messed me up.
Yeah, because I was like, I should, but but still, I like this. So,
and the whole time I was thinking, like, is Raiden in a virtual reality thing? Right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Is Raiden in a virtual reality thing? Like, is this not real life? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
That really messed me up.
yeah, because the whole, like, when he talks to the colonel and everybody on the codec, like, their faces start changing. It starts doing all this weird stuff. It really has you thinking for a second that, like, dang, maybe I have played this for a while. The system's hot or something. Like, it's malfunctioning. Like, it really has you thinking in real life, like, oh, my stuff is messing up. And it's just them doing, like, their mind game stuff or whatever. Yeah, the ending fight on top of the Metal Gear that you sunk. Even before doing that, it felt like you would never get to that point, because there was a point where I think Snake and Raiden worked together, like they had to kill a bunch of Metal Gears. They had like a bunch of different Metal Gears that you had to fight.
Yep.
And it was just like we can't do this. I don't know. but you end up getting through it. So it was a bomb game.
It's definitely a bomb game.
Yeah.
So we'll quickly talk about 3.
What about game-changing moments?
Oh, no. Yes, game-changing moments. Yes, please.
You want to go first? Me?
I don't think I have one. I'll let you go.
Okay. So for me, like, the game-changing moments with this one, it was it sounds sort of simple because now it's just a simple piece of Metal Gear, but it was holding people up, like, in terms of like, you could sneak up on a person, and if you snuck up on them, you put the gun to him, and he'd actually, he'd like put his hands up, and so you could go around to the front of the person, and you could basically shake them down. Like, you put your gun up and down.
Yep.
And so, and usually they would shake and something would come out. Like, you might get dog tags, you might get like rations, you might get ammo.
I remember that. And yes.
So that was big, like being able to shake people down. And then the other part was, I think this was also maybe the first one where it actually made a difference where you shot the person. So like, if you like, so let's just say even if you're doing a shakedown.
Fat Man. Sorry, I just remembered his name.
Yeah,
Fat Man,
dude, right?
Yeah, he was a punk. Anyway, sorry. Please continue.
Yeah, and so it actually made a difference. So say if you were shaking somebody down or something like that, you got them, they're held up. If you were to shoot them in the leg, like, they're still gonna stand there, but they're gonna like limp or whatever. So you can shoot someone in the leg, and that wouldn't necessarily stop them. Like, obviously a headshot would kill somebody. So it actually made a difference. Like, shoot them in the leg, like, they're still going. Headshot kills, and then body shots. So it actually made. So that was just something that was like really interesting. Certain things that you hit, and you could even shoot somebody's walkie-talkie. So therefore,
yes, that's true.
Yeah, and I was like, game changing, because that really makes a difference. You shoot somebody's walkie-talkie, they can't call for help. So then now whatever happens from there. And then the last one, I think how you could hide bodies. Like, you could put a body in a locker or something. Like, you knock somebody unconscious, you just like stuff them in a locker. Because I think in the first Metal Gear, or the Metal Gear Solid, like, pretty much you could knock someone unconscious, or
you just has to put them behind a wall.
Yeah,
like, there wasn't really a lot of intricate places you could hide them like you could in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, and then I think, like, if you killed someone, didn't they just like disappear? I think like they laid on the ground and then they just like disappeared.
I don't remember.
I feel like maybe that happened in the first Metal Gear Solid, but anyway, yeah,
that was not the case in the Metal Gear Solid 2.
No, not at all. Like, you really had to like cover your tracks, because if you knock somebody unconscious, you kill somebody, whatever, you really got to be like, let me put the body behind something, let me put them in a locker, we do something. So yeah, I think those were the game changing ones for me.
This game is so good.
Yeah.
So we got the game on in the back, and I'm just watching. I'm like, man, this game was good. Okay, I'm impressed. You know what else we didn't talk about in Metal Gear Solid 2? Clones. So Metal Gear Solid 3. Quick context: Snake Eater. It is, if you go in chronological order, it's actually the first. Like the first story in all the Metal Gear Solids. It is about Big Boss. It is about the original Snake. Again, we've dropped a few clones words in here, and we'll probably talk more specifically about clones at the end. But Metal Gear Solid 3, I love this game. This was like the last real Metal Gear Solid game that I played. My big thing that I thought was just amazing and ridiculous, I won't say it was the game. Actually, it was a game-changing moment. I'm dropping it early. My game-changing moment was the fact that, like, you had to get your food.
Yeah.
And, like, what you ate... what you ate either, like, made you feel really good or, like, got you sick. So you really had to, like, look at what kind of snake you were shooting and, like, eating to, like, either get healthy or, like, die. And so that game was dope, but the story was so good and touching, and like you wouldn't expect that because it's much different than what Metal Gear Solid 2 was. So the crazy thing again about Metal Gear Solid, like the Metal Gear Solid 3 game, was your main character was different again. Like this is the third straight game where you're not or this is the after Metal Gear Solid 2, you were expecting, okay, maybe I'm going to play as Snake or maybe I'm going to play as Raiden. No, you're not playing as either of them. You're playing as the original OG Snake. You're playing as Naked Snake or eventually Big Boss. So it's like another game where your main character is not the person you've been used to playing this whole time. So Shannon, your thoughts on Metal Gear Solid 3?
Yeah, so for me, like I gotta say, this was, I don't know if we want to say if it was divine intervention or it was just meant to be, because so one, as much as I love the games, like I remember this came out, what was it? Metal Gear Solid 3 came out in, so Metal Gear Solid 3, like in real life, it came out in like 2004.
Yes.
I say real life because, you know, the games are, in the game, it was set in like the 60s, like I think 1964. So it came out in like 04. So I went to college. I went to college 05. I was surprised because I think maybe I had heard that there was a Metal Gear Solid 3. I didn't really get to play video games that much in college, but for some reason there was one summer I was staying on campus over summer, like working one of the summer jobs, and I was so bored. Like I remember I went into like the student bookstore because I knew we had like DVDs and stuff there, so I was gonna like maybe buy a DVD or something. And I saw Metal Gear Solid 3 for PS2 sitting there, and like there was like a video game bin or something. And I looked and I was like, Metal Gear Solid 3, and I had my PS2 on campus. It was over the summer, so it was like, so I had time then. And I got time now. And so I was like, yo, like, nah, this can't be real. What? And I look and I'm like, okay, watch, it's gonna be for some system I don't have. It's gonna be Xbox or something like that. And I look, it's PS2. It's like on clearance for like $20 or less.
Oh, what a beautiful thing.
Yes. I was like, so when I tell you I played that and beat that maybe more than once over that summer.
Wow.
Did that. So like,
how many times would you say you beat it?
That summer? I mean, maybe like twice that summer.
I was about to say, anything more than once. I was gonna be impressed.
Yeah.
Twice is impressive. It's very impressive.
Yeah. So I think maybe like twice that summer, and then of course like I had the game for years and like would play it some here and there. But yeah, so it was meant to be. It was just sitting in like a bargain video game bin, like in my campus bookstore. So yeah, bought it.
Wake Forest University, ladies and gentlemen.
And so with that game, yeah, same deal. Like I was getting confused because I think this is where they really go into they don't go in that much in depth, I guess, like with the clones. But I think like because I had been hearing Big Boss and Clone and this and that from the other games, it's one of those where like you're hearing that, you're like, yeah, that sounds deep, but then you're not really concentrating on that part.
Whatever.
Yeah. And so then like later, because when you're playing, because I'm thinking like, oh, okay, this is Solid Snake, but then it's little things are standing out because you're like, why does, at least at the beginning, you're like, or no, something happens and it's like, why does he have one eye? Like the Snake I played with has two eyes. Like,
yep.
And especially because you're putting it in your head, you're like, so the one Metal Gear Solid 2 was like basically, I guess you would say like in the future, you know, because of like how technologically advanced they were. So I was like, he wouldn't go from having one eye to two eyes, like, you know, and then it was really hitting, and I was like, and they're calling him a different Snake. Why are they calling him Naked Snake instead of Solid? So with that game, I mean, beautiful story, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Because I think of, okay, so in the end, you're fighting Boss. I forget her real name, but one, and she's the person who taught Big Boss like everything he knows, like
everything,
the CQC, just the tactics, like all of that stuff, and not only was she like, oh, I taught you stuff, like that's like his like mentor, and he looks up to her, like he loves her, like, so it's not just like, oh yeah, that was a person, I can't stand them to taught me everything I know, but he's like, yo, like this, I love her, and
like legit love, like I'm pretty sure he was in love with her.
Yeah. And then to be in the end, like, one, partly to have his like just world shattered, to be like, because he starts off there saying like, yeah, she defected to whatever country or whatever, and he's like, nah, that can't be her or whatever. He finally catches up with her. For her, bro, I tell you, like that beginning part, because once again, what do we call it, the prelude or whatever, the prequel, that beginning part, so you're doing all of that, and then he finally catches up with her, and you're like, okay, it's about to go down.
Yep. And
then after a couple things in a cutscene, you find yourself getting out of a river, beat down. You're like,
got your ass handed to you.
Cause I was like,
on a platter.
Cause I was like, dude, like not only did she beat the wheels off of him, she like dropped him in a river after that. So not only are you like, dag, I'm hurt, you also like, I better figure out some way to get to the edge of the river so I don't drown. Then I can worry about healing myself later. She beat the wheels off of him. So,
and that's a nice way to say it.
Yeah, that's a nice way.
We are underselling how bad of an ass whooping it was.
Oh my god. And so then, so I'm like, okay, well, dag, so this is the bad guy, so she is bad, this and that. And then, the story turns out, like, she knew that she was going to be killed in the end, or she knew that basically to complete the mission, she had to die. And to be like, I want my protege to be the one to kill me, to take on this title, and then in the end, I'm letting you know that I didn't truly defect. I had to look this way or do this role, so we could complete the mission, and I couldn't let them know that I was really still working for the U.S. because what's the dude's name? Whatever the electric dude was.
Yeah.
I remember,
the Russian.
Yeah, the Russian. Because I was like, he would kill me. He would, whatever. So to be like, for her to be like, I'm doing this mission. I know the only way for the mission to be successful in the end is for everyone to think I was a villain. For you, my protege, to be the one to kill me, and then I can tell you this stuff in the end, but you're not gonna know any of this along the way either. You're gonna think I'm evil the whole way. Like, yo.
Also tells you she's a hell of a spy.
Yes,
she's probably the greatest spy of all time. Like, Snake, you alright?
Yeah,
she's a beast.
Yeah, and then so I was like, amazing, like just wow, like that story, and so I guess if we say like game changing things about it, so. Once again, the detail in which...
Oh, wait, let me go. Go
ahead.
Game-changing moments, I gotta say, and you'll probably say this too, one of the bosses, the old guy with the wheelchair and the sniper, he's like the expert sniper. So, it wasn't game-changing to fight him. I actually made it a point to never fight him because there were so many ways to get out of not fighting him. Mm-hmm. There was like one way where... Like all the bosses are out in the open and you have a sniper rifle and you can actually aim at him and shoot him and you kill him right then and there and you just never have to face him later on in the game. Mm-hmm. Then there's another way where you can just change the time on, like, when you're fighting him, you save the game and you change the time on your PlayStation, and like because he's old, he's like 100 years old, like you speed it up like a week or so and he's dead in the game. So I have never played, like, I played that game. I didn't beat it twice. I beat it once, but I played it like 2 or 3 times. I never had to fight. I don't know what it's like to fight him. Mm-hmm. I just have no idea. That was dope for me to like experience that. Also, Homeboy's a pervert. Kojima's a pervert. Half the game, there's your homie, the sister. I forgot her name. Eva. I don't remember her name is, but let's say it's Eva. For like the last third of the game, her jumpsuit is zipped down and she just got like a bikini top on, and for no reason. There's literally no reason. Half her chest exposed for the half of the game. But, you know, fan service, as Mark, if Mark was here, Mark would say fan service sells. But yeah, there's several different reasons that Kojima is a pervert. That is one of the reasons of several that Kojima is a pervert. So, Shannon, how about you?
Yeah. So first I'll start off with, so from someone who did have to fight, what was his name?
The death? Or
no,
the who?
The end.
The end, that's what it was, yeah.
From someone who did have to fight him, because I ended up finding out about that later, and I was like, yo, I could have done that. It was hard.
He's hard?
There was no way around it, because he was like, so he was similar, but he was even more complex than, what was it, Sniper Wolf?
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid. So, because for him, he was like moving around. He'd take a shot at you. You couldn't be anywhere out in the open. You had to hide in like hollowed out tree trunks to like just sort of then get yourself together to be like, where is he at? And I'm like, I don't remember how I ended up beating him, but I feel like I did it just like the like, not boring, but just like the straight up way, when I was like, there were so many ways I could have done other things that would have made it more interesting. Because there's even a way you can like, if you're good enough, somehow you can like sneak up on them and you'll come up behind them and then just like sort of do it off like that. I never did that.
So you went the most complex, longest, hardest, difficult way to beat that guy.
Yeah.
Look who you turned out, Shannon. Turns out to be an amazing man. So there's probably some lessons in that. Yeah. You probably went back to school like after that summer, like I can do anything.
But he was tough. And I wish I would have been able to do those. But game changing moments. So obviously with him, one of the things. So this is so simple, but it's like, once again, such a detailed thing. So there's a portion where for some reason you're like in a cave, and I remember you're like crawling through a cave and you're in there for a long time. And so one thing you can do, you have like battery powered something, so you can find some stuff and you can have like a flashlight. But the only thing is, it's not just a flashlight you can keep on, like it uses battery. So then I think you have to either if you have the flashlight on, you can use it some, and then maybe I guess you have to cut it off and your battery will charge some. And so it takes forever doing it that way. But what's so detailed about that is, when you stay in the cave for a while, you sort of don't even have to use your flashlight because your eyes adjust.
Yes, I remember that.
And I'm like, that's what we do in real life. Like our eyes adjust to the darkness. And once again, it's not like you don't see everything perfectly because it's just like real life. But you're like, oh, I can see enough in the dark. And I'm like, yo, game changer.
So there is a theme when it comes to all Metal Gear Solid stuff, and it's like the level of detail and creativity, like the fact that you can do things with a system that you would never have thought that you could possibly do. And it was situations like every game, there was something new that they were able to show us that like your PlayStation is capable of doing so much that like Madden did not show you. Like Madden will show you one thing, 2K will show you another thing, but like Metal Gear Solid will show you like this thing can do everything. Mm-hmm. That's so real. Yeah. And then another game changing was just once again something that stood out was so you had to fight the Sorrow. Yes. So the Sorrow. And the Sorrow wasn't really someone in reality that you really had to fight and kill, because he was sort of, I guess, already dead. He was like a ghost. So what was he? He was. They didn't straight up answer that question for you too. He was just, are you a vampire? Are you a zombie? Are you a ghost? You're just sad. Yeah, he's just a sad guy. Yeah.
And so two things. So one thing about him was, before I get to the river portion, because the river I want to talk about. So one thing about him was he would from time to time show up randomly in the game, because there's like another portion where yet again Snake has been like caught, he's captured and everything, and there's like some point where I think what is it? So Boss is in there, Snake is like captured and strung up and everything, and then once again, dude who I'm forgetting, the Russian. He's the Russian. Yeah. And I think someone else as well. So they're in there, and so what you would do if you look at Boss, at some point there's something she says, the sorrow just appears behind her because he's like a ghost.
Creepy as hell.
Yeah.
And I think didn't you have to like look through an eye to see the sorrow?
Yeah. So you mash his button to look through Snake's one eye because matter of fact, it was the boss. The boss is the reason he has one eye. Yeah. So which in reality, I mean, shout out to her because one more thing she was doing, because I think Snake was going to be shot in the head, and she just sort of played it off like boom, I'd rather take out his eye because it'll be worse. And because she knew she didn't want Snake to die.
Vogan,
yeah, Vogan.
You're welcome, internet. Vogan.
Yeah. But something wild about it was like, if you look out of that one eye, like there's something she says or something, but you look out of it, you see the sorrow behind her, and he has a sign, and the sign it has like a Kodak number in it, and then you have to remember that, and I think maybe that ends up being that's boss's number or it's somebody's number, and I think that was like one of the only ways to sort of get it. You had to do it right there, and it would help you throughout the game. So that was deep. But the other thing was, I guess when you actually have like the quote unquote fight against the sorrow, because it's not really fighting them, but you have to like go up. You're basically trudging up this river, and so you're going through the river, and there's all these like basically the ghosts of people that you've killed so far throughout the game.
Yes.
And so like you can't hurt them, but I think they can actually do some damage.
They can, they can. I remember.
Yeah. So your thing is, you want to try to like dodge around them or whatever, and it's like depending how many people you killed, that thing will take forever.
I saw a video where the dude, because like there's a certain, you can essentially go through the game with killing little to no one, and so like that level, like that fight is like, if you didn't kill anybody, it's super easy. You're just like walking through. I wasn't that person.
Same. And that's what I was gonna say. It had me like, dag, like all those people, I could have knocked out everybody. I could have just snuck around them.
You didn't know? I didn't know that was gonna come back and bite me in the ass. I didn't know that.
Exactly. So that was one that I was like game changer. Like that's huge, because his whole story is all around like death on the battlefield, this and that, and to be like, basically, this level is so hard simply because of you.
Yes.
That's a life lesson, right?
Like, look at you. Look at your desire, your bloodthirsty desire playing Metal Gear Solid. Now look at you. Look at all the stuff you have to deal with. Yeah, it definitely.
So shout out to the people who got through that fight in like 30 seconds, because I was more like a 30-minute or whatever.
Yeah, same, brother, same. Any other game-changing moments for Metal Gear Solid 3? Before we move on,
well, we're going to go into characters because we are absolutely
okay. So
at some point, okay. So never mind. Yeah.
So we're going to jump into characters now. So I know there's two other Metal Gear Solid games, but I didn't play 4 or 5. So I think it's a great place for us to talk just about like the characters, talk about like just the themes of the games, and then we can share a little bit more, and then we got questions, and then we'll wrap up. So obviously we've talked about the snakes. I think this will be a good place to just talk very quickly about the concept of clones. You may think we're going into super detail. I promise you, if you play this game, we are breezing through everything, because there is so much detail in all this stuff. Needless to say, in every single aspect of Metal Gears, in all the Metal Gears, there is some concept of a clone. Pretty much Big Boss was like the ultimate spy, except that we now know that his mentor Boss was the boss. If you want to keep it 100, Big Boss was so good, and also had a lot of influence and power in just military / government things, as you will soon find out. That there were several initiatives to clone him. So Big Boss actually has, at least from my knowledge from playing the 3 games, 3 clones. Solid Snake, who we know and love. Liquid Snake, who is the main antagonist for 1 and kind of sort of the other 2. And 4, right?
In 4, it was like Liquid Ocelot.
Liquid Ocelot, yes. And Solidus, that's his name, right? Solidus Snake, who also used to be the president of the United States. So those are all like the snakes that were a part of. So that's the concept of clones. Like anytime we're talking about clones, in every single game there is a clone that is present, or except for Metal Gear Solid 3 and I believe maybe 5. Where there's an impersonator, right?
Yes. Exactly.
So yeah, that's a quick explanation of the clones and the concept of clones.
So yeah, so even with the project, so what is it? It's in French. L'enfant terribles. Something like that. Yes. But yeah, so that was their thing of like cloning him. They made like the 3 clones. Like I said, there might be more, but those are the only 3 I just readily know of. And so one, I think Snake was actually the most flawed one of the clones.
That is correct.
Yeah,
he was
like the most like
Liquid thought he was, but it was actually Solid who was the most flawed.
And then Solidus was like the perfect clone of him.
Yes.
Even though Raiden said, we're gonna put an end to this.
With a katana.
Yeah. Katana. And so something with the clones are I think with all the clones, I definitely know like Liquid and Solid definitely. So they were injected with something called Fox dye, and so even with that, it basically purposefully had it where they would sort of age differently.
Yeah,
and I think Snake even had sort of a worse strand that his was like he was going to be vulnerable at just a random time in life.
Yeah, Solid Snake. Yep.
Yeah, just a random time. Like,
well, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but for Metal Gear Solid, when Solid Snake was sent to like mess stuff up and like take down, I don't know what they were called, like Foxhound or something like that. They injected him with Fox dye, and he didn't know this, but like his mission wasn't really to like do all that stuff. His mission was just to like spread the virus with everybody there. And the side effect was at some point that virus was going to affect him. Turns out like it happened a couple games later, but like he did rapidly like age, and you could tell from even when you looked at Metal Gear Solid 2, like Snake looked older. So yeah, that's kind of messed up. His country did that to him. So,
yeah, did that.
Awkward.
And so that's just like, I mean, that's wild. They made the clones, and that was sort of their like contingency plan, because they're like, in case these clones in case they go off the rail and they try to do their own thing or whatever, like they age faster, so therefore they're not gonna live a long life to be a 80-year-old person or whatever. Like they will die quicker.
Horrible.
Yeah.
What other characters you like to talk about?
Oh yeah. So Revolver Ocelot.
Yes, of course.
So I didn't really piece this together till this might have been some months ago. Like just looking at things that like, so the theory, and I say theory just because, I mean I think it's true. I think that's what their intention was. But so like Boss was pregnant. Boss gave birth on the battlefield. So once again, best spy ever. Like
best spy ever.
Yeah.
She's the Serena Williams of spies.
Exactly. So it's like, not only did she take down like your entire country and army, it's like she did that, and then like, all right, so I've done that. Let me go into this foxhole right quick, give birth, and then we'll see what happens from there. So, but
she was 9 months pregnant.
Yeah,
took down an entire country.
So,
why are there games about her? Yeah. Her protege got it 5 games that are considered some of the greatest games of all time. You know what? We haven't created a system yet just to experience the world of Boss. Because she is clearly, that would be the greatest game ever. Anyways, I'm sorry. Please
her game probably come in PS7.
PS7. Ian will be fully ready to play that game.
Yeah. And so the wild thing there though is so the thing is what the Sorrow and the Boss, they had a kid. So that's the Sorrow's kid, and to my understanding that is Revolver Ocelot. Revolver Ocelot I think was her child, but it wasn't. But he didn't like grow up with her. It's like they knew that. I think it was known that Revolver Ocelot was the child of a famous soldier, and they just sort of left it at that in stories. And then, so sort of later, looking at some things, I don't know if he ever knows this for a fact, but it's like via some things you sort of find out like, so I think Boss was your mom and Sorrow was your dad.
Yo, I knew Boss was the mom. I think I forgot that Sar was the dad.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
And kudos to Sorrow for getting that Boss. Like, clearly, brother, you got something going on. That's what's up.
Yeah. And I'm just,
or had, because, you know,
yeah.
you're dead.
And so obviously, so there's that, and then Revolver Ocelot himself. So I think the first time chronologically, first time you see him is Metal Gear Solid 3. Like chronologically in terms of
chronologically, yep. Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, he's a much younger guy, cocky, and he sucks. Like, I mean, not just attitude, but he's actually like not that good at
wasn't that good
shooting and stuff. Like,
which is wild, as you later find out.
Yeah.
Or yes.
Yeah. And so, and I mean, what part of it was like the gun, because he was like, oh, let me use a handgun, and it's like, you're okay, but you're not like great. And then he starts using a revolver, and it's like, okay.
Little did you know.
Yeah. And so, he's been someone just like throughout the stories, even later, I think by Metal Gear Solid 2, as we're just jumping around, but by Metal Gear Solid 2, he has Liquid Snake's arm, and it's weird because his arm gets cut off by what was the ninja's name? Was it just Ninja?
Fox. Wasn't that Gray Fox?
Yeah. Gray Fox was the real name, and then they just called him like the Ninja or something like that. But yeah, because his arm gets cut off, which I must say was hilarious. Because in Metal Gear Solid 1, you're fighting Revolver Ocelot. You know, as you mentioned, he has the strings with the C4 and it'll blow up and stuff. And then I think pretty much when you're sort of doing that last thing, he's about to shoot at you, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, slice. He's missing his right arm, or is it left arm? Right
this is right arm.
Yeah. Yep. He's missing his right arm. It's like, what? And so,
video games, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And so, so Revolver Ocelot has been, I mean, quite a character. Like because his story is Metal Gear Solid 2. You're like, enemy fight him. I'm sorry, Metal Gear Solid 1, enemy fight him. Metal Gear Solid 2. He's sort of that Liquid Ocelot-ish type of thing, because Liquid is sort of through his arm, sort of like trying to take over his mind. Metal Gear Solid 4 I didn't really play, but I think from there he's like full on sort of like Liquid Ocelot.
He's straight up Liquid Ocelot for what I've heard.
But Metal Gear Solid 5, he's your friend, he's your ally. Like he is Big Boss's like trusted friend, and like helping him. He's actually the dude. He's like training soldiers on your base. Once again, like I'm playing that or have been playing it, so I haven't gone far enough to be like, do they do a mission together? I don't think they really do, but he's your friend. Like, he is your friend. So Revolver,
that is wild.
Yeah,
I can't even picture that. This man has been my enemy for all these games.
Yeah, and
that's wild.
Yeah, and it's true. Like, it's truly his friend too. It's not like, he's sort of doing some spy double type of thing. I think he's really like, no, like, Big Boss is my dude. Like, we're working together to do whatever. Which also really shows you how stuff changes, because like Big Boss is as we're sort of talking about characters, like Big Boss is the protagonist. Like, he's the good guy. This is your dude. And then I think as the stories go, he turns into the antagonist. He's like the most evil dude. But I'm assuming, like, because like I said, some of them I didn't play like way back, Metal Gear 1 and 2. I'm guessing you sort of see some things like, okay, like this is what would cause him to turn evil, or his motives.
Yeah, you really get into the nitty gritty of like what made Big Boss the Big Boss, which is wild, because most of us didn't start playing this until Metal Gear Solid. Big Boss had been dead already. Like, we're just hearing about this brother as like a legend. We don't really know about him. So like, and then you find out about the clones and all this stuff. And so it's just like, wow, there's this whole mythology about this dude. And you're thinking and assuming he's a bad guy. And then you play him with Metal Gear Solid 3. And you're like, oh, I love this guy. He's awesome. And then just more stuff comes out. So yeah, it's fascinating, just the entire mythology of the character. Any other character you want to touch upon before we jump into some questions?
Yeah. Nah, those are done. And then aside from, I guess, with Emmerich, Emmerich's just funny because every single game he pees on himself. Like
yes, he does.
Yeah,
yes, he does.
He has peed on himself, and I think it wasn't even just him, because I think in Metal Gear 5, it's not it's like one of them is Hal Emmerich, and then maybe it's like it's not the same guy. It's like maybe his dad or something like that. I don't know. It's
like you're right.
Yeah, since Metal Gear 5 is like so much like older, like but anyway, even then, yeah, he like the dude there that is basically like the Emmerich and everything. He pees on himself too, gets afraid. So that's just like a funny, consistent thing. Yeah,
very consistent.
Yeah,
and
anyway, great characters all throughout. So nuanced, all of them.
Shannon, I have questions for you. Obviously this game was enjoyable. It was fun. It had a lasting impression on us. One question I have is, which one was your favorite and why?
I think Metal Gear Solid 3 was my favorite. 3 was my favorite. I think because of the game changing moments of like, some of the things we mentioned of just even like the eyes adjusting to the darkness, to that whole system of you had to eat certain things to stay alive or to heal yourself, put your energy up. And even outside of that, you basically had to fix yourself. So like if you got shot or you, I don't know, took a hard fall or whatever, you had to do stuff like put your arm in a splint, do this, do that. So there wasn't really much of just an automatic healing factor. Like you had to fix yourself up. And if you didn't have like your splint and sutures and stuff, you had to go find some.
You had to go find some. Or your arm be dangling the whole time.
Yep. So for those and just the story, because I went into the story earlier and just all the things around Boss and the stuff that she did, and you see how this really helped. To an extent, how it sort of put Big Boss on that. I guess the coming to be of Big Boss. Yeah. I think that was one of my favorites, and of course, like just a lot of the gunfights and everything. So yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts. That was my favorite one as well. For all the reasons you shared, but like I think just super emphasizing the story, like how it ended with you finding out about Boss and like knowing what that man just had to go through for like the past however many hours you were playing the game, to find out that like she was the ish, like she was like the greatest person ever, and she was loyal to a fault. Mm-hmm. Like you just get why he's so like traumatized by the whole thing. Such a good story, and like the game is even better. That is definitely mine. So I guess the overall question before we talk about our kids, unless you have anything else you want to share, is why did we like this game?
Yeah.
Like this we're talking about 5 games. I mean, even more if you want to talk about like the other side games that they had or the original Metal Gears. I played 3 of them, you played 4 of them, but like 5 games that are renowned, especially within our generation. Why did we like this game so much?
So, for me, I think it was always part of the story, because just like what is going to happen. Like even when it was ridiculous, like okay, so this person is a clone of a person, or this person is actually not even the person that you thought it was anyway.
Yep.
Or even the fact that like depending on which one you're playing, oh, so I'm actually the bad guy right now. But it causes you to be like, all the ways you would feel about a protagonist, you're like, okay, I feel this way about him, you're doing this, and then just to find out that like, oh yeah, depending on the chronology, you're like, oh yeah, this is actually that bad guy that you had to kill, and like, or that got killed in Metal Gear 2.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, so this is him. That
like, oh great, I never played that game.
Yeah.
Also, okay, great, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the story and always the way that the game just pushed the limits. It was always, just so much you could do in terms of your truly what it says, with tactical espionage action, but yeah. Truly like, because every single time a Metal Gear comes out, I'm like, no matter what it is, I at least have the thought of, I'd like to play that. And if I don't have the system, then I just never do. But yeah, but it's always like, oh, there's another Metal Gear game. I wonder how that is. Like, so yeah, like I said, I think for me it was always that that pushing the limits of the system, the story, and just all the different things you could do. So I don't know. That's what stuck out to me.
So I think I just realized why this game, and it's funny because we're watching Fat Man. So if y'all remember Metal Gear Solid 2, there's a Fat Man. We're actually watching the Fat Man fight right now. I think one of the everything you said, of course, is part of it, but I think another part of why we like this game so much. This is gonna sound really simple, but the boss fights, like these were some creative boss fights, and like you had to beat them in a certain way. And you know what that sounds like? Legend of Zelda. I think Metal Gear Solid was an adult version of Legend of Zelda, except without like the mythology and the sword. You have like to be stealth and use tactical weapons, but like it's essentially Metal Gear Solid is Legend of Zelda. Like how you would play it, how you would approach it, how you like would have to be intricate on like figuring out how to beat the bosses. It's Legend of Zelda. We just really liked it. Like it's an adult Legend of Zelda. I don't know how else to say it. That's what I think.
Yeah. I don't know, because I never played Legend of Zelda. So
Shannon,
I know.
You never played Legend of Zelda?
So obviously y'all can't see, but Niels just took off his glasses and everything and gave me a death stare. So, but no, I never played Legend of Zelda, so I don't like. I know of it because Link, right? Like Link is
okay. That's okay.
So I know Link.
Fine.
But,
oh my goodness,
I've never played it. I don't know much about it.
Okay, hold on. I gotta ask you questions now. You set yourself up. Did you play Super Mario 3?
Which one was it? Because I did play the Super. Okay, yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you play Super Mario World with the cape?
That was on N64
and NES.
Oh, that was on NES?
No, excuse me, Super Nintendo.
Okay, Super Nintendo
with the cape and Yoshi.
Oh yes, okay, yeah, I played that one some. I didn't have it. A cousin of mine had it, but yeah.
But you played it. All right, cool. Okay.
Yoshi would like swallow the
Killer Instinct.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was trash at it, but yeah, I loved it.
So you were trash? You need to find your character. Once you find your character, you're good.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was because I was playing my cousins, who I think normally we played it on probably Super Nintendo, which was my cousin's system.
Yeah.
And they were older, and it was theirs, so I played it like on Sundays, whereas they played it throughout the week.
Gotcha.
So,
That's when they allowed you to play it.
Yeah. Pokemon. Not really.
I think I've seen what's going on here. I think I'm starting to understand. So you didn't play Pokemon. You didn't play Legend of Zelda. Did you play Spyro?
I had a demo of Spyro that I played all the time, but I never had the Spyro.
Brother, we all had the demo. Nobody owns Spyro. We all had a demo of Spyro and Crash. That's how we all played it. I don't know anybody who owns that game. If you own that game, please let us know, because I don't know a single soul who owns Spyro the Dragon.
And I remember so much from that one demo of like everything from going in water to there was like a chef or something, and you had to knock some type of animal off his tray or something, because he was trying to put animals in like a pot.
I'm impressed that you remember this. I do not remember the Spyro the Dragon demo. I just remember I played it a lot. Mm-hmm. That is hilarious. Do you have any other questions or last thoughts on Metal Gear Solid before we ask the question about our kids?
Yeah. So So my other comment is, so I was looking around, the internets are talking, and it sounds like, I mean, there's been things of like, okay, there's gonna be a Metal Gear 6 or Metal Gear Solid 6.
Is there gonna be a Metal Gear Solid 6?
So that's at least like the rumors and just some of the things I'm
gonna check this out while you share your thoughts.
So obviously we know that yes, the whole thing has changed because Hideo, Mr. Kojima, Kojima is no longer a part of it, of this amazing thing that has been created. We saw what they did. They made Metal Gear Solid Survive or whatever. You know, that was one of those. I had no desire to play that. So So I'm just interested. I wonder how.
Nor I.
You said more I?
No, I said nor I. Nor did I. Yes.
So one of my questions are, I'm just interested. I wonder how will that look, because I'm like, so I get it. What Metal Gear Survive? Yeah, Metal Gear Survive. We know it's trash.
Trash.
All right.
Yes, universal trash.
Yeah. So it's like, cool. We can live with that. We know it. We know it's trash. And I don't even look at it as like really part of the Metal Gear thing, because it's, you know, something completely different. But if they make another Metal Gear and they're like, yep, this is the story, you know, I just wonder how that will go, because like he's no longer a part of it. So,
and who is it going to be about?
Yeah.
Like, I guess you can continue to explore the world of Big Boss, right? Like, because that's, the man has like an epic past. But like, he's not, at a certain point, he gets too old to be doing some spy stuff. Yeah. Right? Like, he ain't, like, this man is like running corporate organizations. Like, the game will be him sitting at a desk, like sharing a report and saying, don't say this and do this and don't do that. So, I don't know what it'll be about, but like, ladies and gentlemen, they are making a Metal Gear Solid 6. Yeah. It is happening.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like I said, it has me, 2 levels of that. So for what I just mentioned, you know, I'm like, will it even be good because everything's so different now? And will this be finally, I guess, the Metal Gear that comes out that I know I will no longer be able to play any of from here to the future? You know what I mean?
Like, will this officially mean you are done with Metal Gear Solid?
Yeah, and not just because of say Kojima not being a part of it, but because at this point in my life, you know, like it's hard to be able to play games and have a kid and do this and that. So like, is this also going to be that marker of, yep, like you stopped at PS4?
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like,
real.
Yeah, so that's like the 2 things that come to mind, because I told you I have Metal Gear 5. I got it in 2015. I still have not beaten it, and not just because it's hard, but because I have hardly had time. But I want to.
That's real. You're an adult.
Yeah.
I own a PS3, and that is the only reason I have not purchased Metal Gear Solid 4 or 5. I truly believe that is the only reason I haven't played those games, because I like those games.
4 is on PS3.
Oh, well, look at that.
Yeah, that's actually why I never played 4, because I think it wasn't on PS2. It was on PS3, and I never had PS3.
Well, that's even more telling of where I am in my life. The game. Then I straight up lied to y'all, because it is on PS3. I don't own it. Haven't even looked into owning it, because you need to put in so much time and energy into playing Metal Gear Solid, which I no longer have. Like, I don't play anything. I just got a Sega Genesis. Shout out to Chris Vick. I just got a Sega Genesis. I am trash at NBA Jam. So like, I just realized I cannot commit to video games like that no more, and it's sad. And you know what? I think Metal Gear Solid 3 is the last Metal Gear Solid I'll play until Ian goes to college, and then and then I will pop open that PlayStation, which will probably be on our phones at that point.
Yeah,
and get back into it. So Shannon, the age-old question that we asked at Pop Culture Parenting is, how will we introduce this media that we just reviewed to our kids? What will we do? How will we review it? I will start. So I am very curious if Ian's going to be a gamer. Like, I think he likes electronics. I clearly can't tell if the brother has the patience yet, because he's almost 2. But I don't know if I'm going to like put in the time and energy to introduce Metal Gear Solid to Ian. Maybe if he's older, but like I'm wondering if there's, I don't think like these games that are coming out now, like, you know, your Hitman or Assassin's Creed are better, but there are some games that are like the games that are legit and big now, like Last of Us, like God of War, like some other ones that I do not know because I don't have time, that are probably going to be running in tandem with how Metal Gear was for us. So I think while I won't introduce Ian to Metal Gear Solid, I am going to have a different kind of understanding compared to my parents did when I see Ian like seriously committed to like beating a game. As long as it has a dope story and like he has to really use his mind, I'll be like, you know what? I'm not gonna like yank him and be like, go outside and go play. I'm probably going to just be like, okay, I get it. Tell me about the story. Tell me what's going on. Like, what's this level like right now? What do you got to do? I'll just have a different type of appreciation. So that's what I think. How about you?
Yeah. So I think mine will probably be, I'll probably do little incremental things to sort of gauge. So one is just like a silly thing that I already know that I'm gonna do. So like, say if we get a new appliance in the house or something like that, when it comes in the huge box. I already know that like I'm gonna do things like if it's a box that like say he can fit in or something, I'll probably play with him to see if like, okay, put it on him and then like have him like walk around in the box just playing around. Yeah. See how he takes that. Or even if it's like a bigger one, I know that I'm gonna do stuff to mess with him. Like it'll be like obviously probably like a straight up box for like, I don't know, a refrigerator or something.
Yes.
But I'm gonna do stuff like follow him around in the box or something like that with the box on me.
Like, what was that?
Yeah. So I'll do little things like that. And so if he starts sort of being like, this is a fun game that we play, something funny, or unless he's more like, that's dumb, Dad, why are you doing that? And I'm like, okay, so all right, not that one. so I think I'll start doing little stuff like that, playing around, and then I think once I introduce a little bit of that, like I'm sure like I will just like tell him about some of those things. Depending when he maybe starts playing video games. I mean, I think I'll have a better idea, but I imagine I would probably try to introduce it to really be like, this game called Metal Gear is on this system. I'm thinking maybe I want to say 13, which I know is like, but there. So
well,
maybe
I mean, compared to when we were playing it,
exactly.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So maybe like 13, I would look to try to like introduce it to him to really be like, okay, here's like the game and the things they do, and sort of see from there because the stories are so different now, and even for us, we're like, the stories were amazing. Well, the stories were amazing yet ridiculous at the same time.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't even know if we knew going into it like how deep the stories were and everything. So I don't know if that's even what initially drove us to it. It would just be, I don't know, something about, this is complicated, this is cool, I'll try it. So I feel like I see me trying it at maybe like 13, and we'll see what happens from there.
We'll even see if there is a PlayStation that exists when young Luke is 13.
Yeah, because I also imagine like I'm going to be washed by that point, like in terms of like games. And
I am impressed that you don't think you're washed now.
Well, I'm basically washed now, but I'm still holding out because I'm like, once I can finally beat Metal Gear. Basically, I got a list because I have like a couple of them now, but I'm like, once I can maybe beat Metal Gear, Mafia 3, and like another game or two I have, I'm like, yep, I think I've done it. This is it for me.
I'm retiring.
Yeah.
And you know what? One interesting thing to note is that Kojima is still making video games. I believe there's a game called Death Stranding that's coming out. That's like his big, like, new thing since Metal Gear Solid. So there is a chance in the future that our kids are actually playing like another version of Metal Gear Solid, like their own Metal Gear Solid that they're trying to hip us to. So who knows? But that is it. That is the show. Ladies and gentlemen, give our guest, our co-host for the week, month, Mr. Shannon, a round of applause.
Thank y'all.
All the internet is clapping.
all of Al Gore's internet. Thank y'all. This has been amazing. I've said this to Niels and Mark like plenty of times, but this is one of my favorite podcasts.
Hey, we done made it, y'all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like for real. I feel like just everything from Metal Gear to like certain movies and just different things. I feel like so many of those are things that I'm like, I have loved so much, but then we end up not really being able to sit down and really have conversations.
Yes.
Like I'll say something here and there to a person, we're like, yeah, boom, boom. But to really have in-depth and conversations about it, or even to listen to them having in-depth conversations, and I'm like, yep, I agree. Yep, I remember that. No, I don't agree, or whatever. I love it. So yeah, shout out to this podcast. Clap for them.
Thank you. Well, we'll receive that. We'll receive that. And you know what's funny? We could have gone for like 10 more hours. I'm talking about Metal Gear Solid. So y'all are welcome for our brevity. Thank you all for listening. We have a new episode coming out. We don't know what our next episode is going to be next month, but I am going to try to bring in a special guest as well. So we will see what that will be about. You can find us on all social media at PopCultParent, PopCultParent. Don't forget to email us at popcultparent@gmail.com. Please make sure you rate us, review us, and subscribe. And of course, as always, join the cult. Peace. You can say peace too, Shannon.
Peace.